You know that thing where you get an amazing pair of shoes at a really great price and want to tell everyone about it? Yeah, so do we. Here at Designer Shoe Warehouse, we'll give you something to brag about, like the latest styles from brands you love, or the trends everyone's obsessing over, or shoes that make you feel like, well, you. So go ahead, show off a little. Find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. Head to your DSW store or dsw.com today. DSW, let us surprise you.
I'm here. We pay for this vacation. We're going to get our picture with Goofy.
What fresh hell?
Laughing in the face of motherhood. Happy birthday in general can be pretty traumatic for a lot of kids. With Margaret Abels
and Amy Wilson.
Well, they're kind of imaginary in terms of like your Tuesday afternoon being disrupted by a dinosaur.
A podcast that solves today's parenting dilemmas
so you don't have to. If I touch this banister 3 times and then kick the wall with my foot, nothing bad will happen in the world. Hello, everyone, and welcome to What Fresh Hell? Laughing in the Face of Mother. This is Margaret.
And this is Amy, and today we're going to talk about how to help kids with their fears.
Will we also talk about how to help me with my fears, or is that a different episode, Amy?
Anxious bunny parents create anxious bunny children, some studies say. So we should talk about that a little bit, maybe, but I don't know what you do about that except feel bad.
Well, the anxious bunny reference, for those who maybe haven't listened to every single 400 episodes of our podcast, I was a very anxious child, remain a somewhat anxious adult. And my mother, at some point when I was complaining about this, anxiety that was plaguing me, she said in her very my mother way, listen, the anxious bunny survives. So anxiety is a tool, but sometimes it becomes something that is a little too overwhelming for us and our children.
Well, I would say fear is universal and anxiety is when it tips over to something that kids might need a little help with, right? That every kid has a fear of something. Let me start with why it's a biological imperative. In order to survive, you need to learn to tell the difference for yourself between safe cues and dangerous cues in your environment. You got to survive, and then you have to be able to manage through that fear. The point isn't to make sure kids aren't afraid of anything or don't have things that they're afraid of. The trick is helping them manage their fears, because managing your fears as you grow is part of healthy adulthood. I mean, it's like what Dr. Lisa DeMoore says, that emotional health is having the right emotions at the right time, not never being sad or never being scared.
And also, childhood is a huge process. I think we have deer in our backyard, and there are deer in our backyard who are new to the backyard, and we have a clicky door that opens to the deck. And when that door clicks, the new deer look up with those big scared deer eyes like, oh my God, a clicking noise. And then the veteran deer are like, oh, that's just the door. Don't worry about it. That is the whole process of childhood. Is like that clicking noise is the door. You should be afraid of everything when you're a 2-year-old who doesn't have any real agency or strength to fight off predators.
Right. And then they learn again. So kids look to parents to calibrate their fears.
Oh, this is what I do with flight attendants on the airplane.
You're exactly right. Well, that's fear conditioning, right? You're looking to, I do the same thing, right? Like this turbulence seems really excessive, but if they're still looking at their People magazine, I'm going to chill.
Yeah, that's right. Although once I did have frightened flight attendants, and it was extremely frightening. It only happened once, but if it fails you, it really fails you.
Yes. So children learn from their parents what is safe versus what is dangerous and when to be scared. That's part of what we're teaching them. For example, a hot stove. Kids don't know that a hot stove is dangerous. We teach them that when we say, oh, hot, 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 right? And then they learn. And they learn fear from us by associating something neutral with a fear response. And then there's the opposite of that. Like that, here's Donald Duck at Disney World. Am I supposed to be scared of Donald Duck at Disney World or not? I'm going to look to my parent, and my parent's going to tell me whether or not it's okay. So this is what we do.
Right. Except for I might still be terrified of him, even though my parents' face is telling me it's fine. Because I had a kid who was so scared of mascots. And in fact, I did not bring her to Disney when I went with the older two, because I was like, yeah, she can't handle it.
I mean, just some kids are like that. I have sisters who are 11 months apart. I mean, raised in about the samest environment you could be, right? And we have the funniest pictures at Disney World of One of them, as my sister says now, like, she's like, sure, like Fox from Robin Hood, that's kind of a bad guy. I'll hug you, whatever. Like, she would run up to any character.
She's taken all comers, as we say.
Yep, take them out at the knees. And then my other sister just not just closing her eyes, but covering her eyes, that lest a bit of fur get through her squinted eyelids, and she might have to see a character. And they're, same household, different fear response.
Yeah. And I think we'll probably talk about it. But one of the mistakes I think we make as parents is it's not scary. And that's can't be right. It is scary to you. Neither Chip nor Dale is a frightening entity. But if you're having eyes rolling back in the head terror of Chip or Dale, me telling you that he's not scary is a useless piece of information.
Right. My heart's still pounding. I used to have that with Dora the Explorer, which I don't think kids watch Dora the Explorer anymore, but there was a grumpy old troll who lived under the bridge. He was the closest thing to a bad guy that Dora the Explorer had. And it's like right in the name. He's not mean old troll. He's not dangerous. He's grumpy old troll. And he just would come out and be like, and then Dora would solve it. And then he'd be like, darn it. And he'd go back under the bridge. And that's all that would happen. That's all. He had one trick, bad riddles. And yeah, my kid, who's now a college student, just couldn't quite get through the day because the grumpy old troll might come out the next time he was watching Dora the Explorer. And yes, I would always lead with, he's grumpy, he's not mean, he's nice, let's look at him. I would try to do forced exposure, like, let's look at it together, it's fine. No, you can't talk them out of their fear. You can help them manage it. So you're right, we're skipping to takeaways there, but I think you're exactly right.
Mine was Phantom of the Muppet Show when I was a young person, terrified. My siblings had the job. I would have to walk out of the room and they would tell me when Phantom of the Muppet Show was no longer on because I was so scared. And I remember at some point being with my now grown nephew, getting a PhD. He is now, not then, but in the back of the movie Toy Story. I believe it was a minor sequel. I want to say it was Toy Story 2. It wasn't a hit, but there's a part at the end where Woody gets put in a box and the box is about to be shipped to Japan. And he was just losing his mind. We were hiding behind the trash cans in the back of the theater because he didn't really want to miss it, but he was so scared. And I was just like, my dude, I've never seen this movie, but I'm going to tell you, it does not end with Woody being shipped to Japan in a random box. Like, I don't know what happens, but that's not it.
Let me talk about the rules of story structure.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Woody is not going to get crushed in a box to Japan.
There's a survey. 1,000 parents in the UK were surveyed by the Book People, which is like the equivalent of Barnes & Noble over in the UK. And they found that a third of parents purposefully steered away stories that were at all scary for their kids. And this is not 3-year-olds. We're talking 8, 9-year-olds. I wouldn't read them anything that had something scary in it. And psychologist Emma Kenny has a different point of view on that. She says that fear is a natural response with a scary story, but with a scary story, the child has a level of control. They can ask you to stop reading. They can put it down. You can reassure them that Woody's not going to be shipped to Japan in the end. You can explore with them the way they're feeling about the situation, that a fairy tale is the perfect, safe, controlled way for a kid to explore what it's like to be a little bit scared with you reading to them.
And spoiler alert, friends, scary stuff is going to happen, whether or not you read the scary story. I find this foundationally misguided, and it's something that I work through myself, so I feel more comfortable criticizing it. I very rarely try to criticize my fellow parents on this podcast, but I do think that avoiding scary things is such a mistake. Like, I know people who won't take their kids to funerals of people who've died, who won't read scary stories, who won't expose them to any scary news. And I think that it's literally exposure therapy. Like, you have to feel scared.
All right, so kids having fears is natural and good and biologically imperative and all that. So let's go through like ages and stages of the most common fears that kids can have.
Okay.
The first one, the obvious one, is separation anxiety that sets in, experts say, like around 8 months old, when all of a sudden your baby doesn't want to be separated from you or their other primary caregivers.
This is the classic example of the kid you see all the time who reaches for you, a baby who reaches for you, and then one day you go and you reach for them and they turn back towards their mom. It is literally a visible thing that starts happening. They curl into their mom.
And it makes sense, right? It's just like a tiny baby cries to be fed. An 8-month-old baby is like, don't forget me, primary caregiver, right? Don't go off into the jungle without bringing me with you because you take care of me. So they're not going to let that happen as soon as they are old enough to notice. So that's like completely normal and cute and whatever. That's the first fear kids have.
Right. Because in the beginning, the world is just like hands, I mean, I guess they smell the mom, but basically then at some point they develop an awareness of like different people.
Right. Preferred, I want you to hold me. And then when they're about a year old, fear of noises like a vacuum cleaner or a blender or a lawnmower. Your mileage may vary in this. This is my earliest memory. I was 3 and I clearly remember being very afraid. I played with Jimmy Smith, who lived in the same apartment complex as us.
Not Jimmy Smits, the actor from LA Law.
Not Jimmy Smits. No, I wish I knew him. No, Jimmy Smith. Sounds like a fake name, but it was really his name. And I played with Jimmy Smith, and his dad got home from work one day. And this is my earliest memory of hiding in Jimmy Smith's room because his dad got home and he had a deep, deep voice. And I was very afraid of Jimmy Smith's dad, deep voice. Not the dad, his deep voice.
How old are you at this time?
I'm 3. And I just remember like, oh no, his deep voice. I don't like his deep voice. I have a niece who doesn't like it when crowds clap. No clapping, please, after singing happy birthday or nothing. Please don't clap. She just doesn't dig it.
Yeah. Happy birthday in general can be pretty traumatic for a lot of kids.
Right. For certain kids. Then there's 2 to 4 years, it starts to ramp up. Fear of the dark.
Okay.
Fear of like thunder and lightning.
Reeve the right on, mommy. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Animals, like dogs, wolves, like animals that that seems smart.
You took kind of a leap there, Amy. Dogs, wolves. I mean, I'm still scared of wolves.
Every time Jimmy Smith's wolf would come into the room, I was so scared.
You were like kittens, pterodactyls. Like that one is fully scary.
One is very smart always to be scared of. Dog, it depends on the dog.
Yeah. Stay scared, baby. Stay scared.
Specific characters, right? Like the grumpy old troll, Phantom of the Muppet Show. Don Music was my brother's. He's the guy who used to bang his head on the piano on Sesame Street because he couldn't think of the last song. Terrifying, but only to my brother.
I didn't there was also, Muppet Show was traumatic for me. There were, was it Muppet Show? They hit little like shell creatures on the head with mallets and they'd be like, ow, 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 and sing songs.
Yes.
Terrifying to me. Terrifying.
We're going deep on the Sesame Street Muppet lore, but one of my siblings was very afraid of the yep. The aliens that had like the weird like mouths.
Horrifying. Well, have you seen the meme that it's like, did you have scary stuff when you were kids? And then the response is, we had scary everything. And it's a picture of the McDonaldland characters. Yes. And they're like, we'll post a link to it on the show notes because it's like, what was going on? There was like a hideous old pirate man. It was terrifying. There was a mad professor. I mean, we had scary everything, people.
Yeah. So your mileage may vary, but right. And then imaginary creatures, vampires, whatever, werewolves.
I was about to say dinosaurs. They're not imaginary. Yeah, werewolves. I was about to use...
Well, they're kind of imaginary in terms of like your Tuesday afternoon being disrupted by a dinosaur.
Yeah. But as I went to say it, I was trying to kind of say dragons and then I was saying dinosaurs. Not imaginary, as it turns out.
Ghosts.
All right, hit me with the next stage.
Okay, 5 to 12 years old. I mean, that's a big stage, but it's like we're out of the little kid stage and into the, grade schooler. Fears associated with particular situations, like doctors, dentists, getting a shot, which is a very extreme fear of a child that I know, and that doesn't necessarily go away with age. I mean, I'm afraid of it. I hate getting my blood drawn. That's what I'm afraid of.
I was going to say, like, I have all of these fears at middle age, so yeah.
Social fears, speaking in front of the class, but again, only for some kids.
Also on the list is burglars and kidnappers. I spend, I want to say 70% of my brain space from the age of 5 to like 12 probably worrying about kidnappers. It's all I thought about. I was obsessed with being kidnapped. And I think my mom was like, they can have you at some points. Like she was like, what are they going to do with you? But yeah, I was terrified of kidnappers.
We grew up in I guess I'll speak for myself. I grew up in the just say no to drugs, sort of Nancy Reagan moment. And I was very afraid that like the LSD was going to get me. You know what I mean? That it was somebody was going to sneak it into my after school snack or something.
It's the angel dust. Helen Hunt took it on an after-school special, and she jumped out the window. Yeah, we were scared of
Accidental drug use.
yeah, or somehow we would end up taking angel dust or LSD, I guess against our will, or it would be so tantalizing we wouldn't be able to resist. Like, where were we getting LSD as 7-year-olds? I don't know.
I don't know. Hopefully hard to find.
Terrifying. We'll be right back.
Hellions, it's time for some spring cleaning, and I don't just mean the coat closets. Doing your financial spring cleaning can actually be super easy when you let Monarch do your financial spring cleaning for you. One dashboard that gets your entire financial life organized. No more clutter, no more mess, no more logins scattered everywhere, just accounts, investments, property, and more, all in one place. Get your first year of Monarch for half off, just $50 with promo code FRESH. Monarch allows you to look not only at what you've already spent, but also to plan for the future. With Monarch, you can set savings goals, plan for big purchases, and notice spending trends before they become a problem. I can generate cash flow reports that show me what we spent this quarter, this month, what we're probably going to spend next month, and feel prepared, organized, and knowing how to plan for the future. No more surprises and a lot more clarity. Try Monarch. Use code FRESH at monarch.com to get your first year half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code FRESH. My favorite skincare products actually feel more like self-care, like they're so nice to put on and they smell so good that I'm actually happy when I get to that part of my day. And I swear that is how I feel about Osea's anti-aging body balm.
Amy, you are usually the lotions and potions queen on this podcast, but I have to say, hard agree.
Osea's anti-aging body balm is a liquid silk body balm that combines the lasting hydration of a lotion with the firming power of a serum, leaving skin smoother and firmer.
This body balm is clinically tested and designed to deliver visible results you can see and feel.
So we've gotten to use this product for a couple of months now, and I swear I have really noticed firmer and smoother skin, like on the back of my hands. It's like getting a mini spa treatment from head to toe.
Get a spring-worthy glow with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now, we have a special discount just for our listeners.
Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code FRESH at OseaMalibu.com.
That's 10% off your first order with code FRESH at OSEAMalibu.com. Amy, when I'm having a good hair day, it usually makes my whole day better. And that's why on every day, I'm taking Nutrafol.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, and it's the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested.
Nutrafol offers multiple formulas for men and women tailored to different life stages and lifestyle factors, so you get support that's actually right for you. Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is easy. Order online, no prescription needed, with automated deliveries and free shipping to keep you on track.
Let your hair be one less thing to worry about. See visibly thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LAUGHING.
That's Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code LAUGHING. So I think it's totally fine to be like afraid of the grumpy old troll or getting a shot, right?
I'm going to go further than that. It's important to be.
Yes.
The idea that you don't turn off the TV because they're scared of the grumpy old troll, let me figure out. I run out of the room and my siblings tell me when Phantom of the Muppet Show is over, is better than mom coming in and being like, we will never watch that show again because the Phantom of the Muppet Show scared you. This is historically, I don't have a citation in front of you, but it's something I've thought about and read about, that the mom often is shot in stories like Babar, Bambi. People have always understood that children need scary stories. Cinderella used to be a story where the sisters cut off their toes and heels to try to shove their foot in their bloody stumps into the, like, those stories. The Little Mermaid dies. Bad things happen in all of those stories, because people have understood that children need to feel fear in order to develop psychologically against it. And I think that we've lost that a little bit.
To be able to handle an actually scary situation in your life, right? You don't want that to be the first time you've ever had your heart beat faster because you're not sure what's going to happen next. Like these are, it's something we want to help our kids manage. I'm thinking about this like my niece who hates clapping. Unfortunately, we live in a world where people will clap sometimes, right? And so the goal for those of us who love her is to sort of prepare her like, okay, if we're going to sing happy birthday, probably somebody's going to clap afterwards. And instead of being like, nobody can clap, it's like, okay, there might be some clapping. You can just, I'll give you an extra tight hug and it'll be fine, you know, and then everybody gets through it. You're helping a kid manage a fear, not trying to prevent the fearful situation from occurring.
Yeah. And this is especially true, I think, of kids with sensory stuff going on, kids on the spectrum, that there are things that are really scary for them, such as singing, clapping, sudden noises, loud places. And yeah, you talk about like, why don't we go? And I'm going to ask the hostess to let us know before happy birthday. We'll step out when they sing and then come back. You're figuring your way around an issue. It sounds like I'm saying the opposite of what I just said, which is like, don't take them away from it. But more exposure. And then maybe you can stand in the doorway the next time it's sung. Maybe you can move closer. You don't not go to the birthday party. You figure out how to deal with the fear.
Let's talk about when the fear can sometimes become more of a problem, right? Like, okay, it's a little bit of a problem. You don't like elephants and the plates have elephants on them. You'll get through it. But when things can kind of ramp up for certain kids, there are situational reasons that can amplify other fears. Like you're moving and all of a sudden your kid is obsessing about the monster under the bed when they never were before. Or, you know, divorce or trouble at daycare, something else is going on can make the kid more fearful. And so, unfortunately, can having a very anxious parent.
This is going to be a bummer. Get yourselves ready.
I'm going to give you a statistic here. Kids whose parents struggle with anxiety are 2 to 7 times more likely to develop an anxiety disorder themselves.
I can't believe that's not 400 times more likely, because it does seem like, well, I guess maybe sometimes you react by being less afraid, like I can't live like this kind of, but it's something that I actively work on as an anxious person to try to not be so vocal about my anxieties in front of my children.
Right. Here's the example of like a toddler that falls down and hurts themselves. And, you know, they stop and they look to you like, am I upset about this? Am I crying about this, Mom? You know, that moment, that's the perfect example of they're looking to you. And if you were like, my baby, oh my gosh, are you okay? Right. Then you sort of are teaching them to have a fear response. But if you say like, uh-oh, or I was reading online, somebody says, boom, baby, every time her kid, you know, took like a harmless spill. And then the kid started saying, boom, baby, that there's a sort of like, I see you. You're okay, though. If we can try to make that our first response, we can teach our kids to be less afraid.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right. The way you interact with the world is going to be very modeling for your kids. And so we've talked about giving voice to things, and wow, I always get nervous merging on the freeway. And that's why I always take an extra minute, and I find having to breathe deep. You're modeling, I am afraid of something, and this is how I react to that fear, versus I am afraid to merge on the freeway, and therefore no one in the family is allowed to drive on the freeway. Now listen, I know people who have not driven on a freeway in decades because they have a very strong fear of freeways. And that's okay. I mean, it's a problem that hopefully you're working with somebody on, but it's not bad to have fears. It's just how we present our relationship to fear with kids that I think is so important.
So there's a new study that came out. This is very interesting, showing that when a kid is having a fearful moment, that just the parent being present, just you literally being there while it's happening, is enough to make your kid feel less afraid. So this is like less complicated maybe than we worry it is. Like, how do I help my kid be less afraid? You're literally there when they're experiencing the scary thing is all we need. So you want to hear this study? Developmental science, kids who were 6 to 17 years old, and they were put in a brain scanner, like an MRI machine, which I don't know if you or your children have ever done that. That is a scary thing. They go inside like a tunnel almost.
Yeah, it's scary. I just had one.
It's like Space Mountain. Yeah. And your feet are sticking out. And so I've had kids do this, and you're sort of holding their hand, but you can't see them. They can't see you. And it's making like weird noises in there, right? So what they did is they put the kids in the MRI machine, which makes it weird noises, but they would only play the noise when they showed a certain picture. I mean, I wasn't there, so don't ask me for full details, but they would show different pictures, but they would only play the loud noise when one picture was being shown. And most of the time, not all the time. So it was like, when I see this picture, I'm afraid that I might hear that noise. It was like sort of 3 out of 4 times you'd see it, and then you wouldn't see it the rest of the time. So they're watching the fear response. Like this loud noise was not terrifying, just startling, right? Every time you heard it, it's like, oh, what's that? Oh, that's that noise again. And then eventually your brain would learn to associate it. Oh, I'm not going to hear that noise unless I see the picture of the blue sky. And even then I'll only hear it sometimes. But you're in there for a few minutes before you figure all this out. So they were watching the difference when a kid was watching all this in their brain, when a parent was touching their hand or leg while they're in there, just standing there. They can't see you, they can hear you, but they can feel your presence, versus the parent is in the waiting room. And their amygdala, which is the part of the brain that it lights up when we're scared, was much less activated when the parent was there touching their leg than when they weren't.
I mean, that makes sense, but the lesson certainly is not we have to be there all the time, right? No, it isn't. It isn't. I think it's that if your kid is going to do something scary, like you're going to go off the diving board, I'll do it too, or I'll be right here while you do it, or you're there while they're trying the hard thing. It's not that you always have to be there. I think it's that all you have to do is be there for it to be better for them. So you don't have to be like, it'll be okay, it's fine, it's not actually scary. And I think that's right. And you're there less and less too. It seems self-evident to me, but I think that it's true that the more you let your kids confront scary things for themselves, the better off. Maybe that's too big, but basically you want your kids to feel your support, but do the work of being afraid themselves.
Yeah. And you're buffering it. I'm quoting Kara Goodwin here, and she says that it's a parent being present can buffer the fear response.
Yeah, I think that's right. It's interesting. I have a kid who's at sleepaway camp, just arrived, and the counselor called for like the first check-in call, and I was kind of busy. I was actually on a meeting, and I was like, okay, great, it's fine. I'm sure she's fine. It's sleepaway camp. She's done it before. Like, I'm not worried about it. And it was almost like she felt obligated to keep me on the phone for 10 minutes to assure me that everything was fine. I'm like, I'm good. I'm not worried about it. Like, call me Saturday or whatever the check-in day is, but she's done it before and she loves it there and I'm good, And I thought, oh, that's right, because many of her other calls are first-time parents who are like, oh, and then tell me, was she okay when she got there? Did she eat dinner? Is she, and it was kind of a funny reminder of I'm in a very different phase of stepping back from sleepaway camp than some other parents because she's done it before.
And it's so different, isn't it? The second time you go off the diving board, the second time they go to sleepaway camp. Yeah, it's so different. And so it's different for your kids too. So we need to remember that when they're doing something hard, that the first time is going to be harder than every time after that.
Right. And one thing that I want to emphasize, because I've done a lot of work on this for myself as like a fearful person, is that the fear is not controllable. The fear and the flood of adrenaline and the scaries, you can't control. That's not even a goal. It's how you respond to the fear. And that's the same thing for your kids. You can never control feeling afraid. Mm-hmm. That is a feeling. I am afraid when I see a mouse. I am afraid. That will never change. A mouse is not a good example because I will always be terrified and I don't want to live places where mice can attack me.
Well, maybe that is a good example. Yeah.
Okay, what are we going to do about it? How are we going to respond to it? In my case, climbing on top of another person, maybe even one of my children, and throwing them towards the mouse while I run away. But I think that we get stuck sometimes on I have to learn not to be afraid. And that is a fool's errand. There is no learning not to be afraid. There is what I can do. What can I control in response to the fear?
Well, let's talk about this because we have some good tips. We can start now and keep going with them after the break. But these are tips from McGill University in Quebec. They have a website called Naître et Grandir, which means being born and growing up. Oui. So it's McGill University sort of child studies, and these were their ideas. The first one was to take your child's fears seriously. Don't make fun or be dismissive. And I was like, who would be make fun of their kid for being scared? But I have totally said, don't be scared. It's not scary, right?
It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Yeah, absolutely. I'm like, that's a dumb thing to be scared of.
Right. grumpy old squirrel is not scary. Well, it's scary to your kid. And they're looking at you like, don't do that.
See, also, this is delicious. It's maybe delicious to you.
But also don't overreact because that can reinforce your child's fear. Stay calm, even if your child is panicking. This is the part I have a hard time with, like injuries, where somebody has to inspect and see if stitches are required. Like I cannot, this is when, I have done it. I have been the only adult in the room, but this is like, can somebody please look at this eyebrow besides me, because I'm not sure that I can model the calm that this panicking child needs in this moment.
And I don't think you can be expected to. My daughter and I went on a ride at Disneyland in California. We thought it was a regular Ferris wheel, like a Ferris wheel that went in a circle. And we got on the Ferris wheel. If you've been to Disneyland in California, you know the Ferris wheel I'm talking about. I could see it from the outside, and it was like you could choose your line, swinging cages or non-swinging cages. And we chose non-swinging cages. So I thought it was just going to go in a circle. And this crazy Ferris wheel at Disneyland, it gets you high up and then it drops off the track and like zooms you. Like it's like a half roller coaster, half Ferris wheel. And literally, we were chatting. We were like, anyway, after this, I think we'll get dinner. And then all of a sudden, it was like, ka-konk, and it started like rolling on a track. It was insane. And we both thought it was breaking. Her little face, she was reaching to me like, Mommy. I was screaming. There's no seatbelts on this thing. And we thought it was breaking. And so we were both screaming as if we were plunging to our deaths. And then we were terrified of the ride. We were gripping the sides. We were screaming the whole time. And it wasn't like, haha, this is fun, I'm screaming. It was like, get me off this thing. It's terrifying. And afterwards, we were just laughing about like, okay, this is how I reacted to fear. And this is how we both thought we were dying on this roller coaster, this Ferris wheel thing. And I don't think you have to be perfect in your reactions. I think you can process fears also.
Yeah. You did it together. All right, we'll take a break. Come back with more tips for helping our kids with their fears.
Amy, let me tell you about a magical place that is so exactly designed to be enclosed space, year-round fun for the whole family that I bet you already know what I'm going to say before I even say the name. Let's say it together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Great Wolf Lodge. You got it, Amy.
My kids loved Great Wolf Lodge when we went. You probably already know that it has a huge indoor water park with a wave pool, lazy river, a bunch of massive water slides. But then your pack can hit the other attractions because wait, there's more.
Great Wolf Lodge has adventure-packed attractions like Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, plus the Northern Lights Arcade. Spent some quality time there, so your kid who loves the lazy river and your kid who loves fantasy games will both have a great time.
Great Wolf Lodge also offers great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. Unpack the car once and you're settled in to have fun. And with 22 lodges across the country, you're always a short drive away from adventure.
We've both had such great times at Great Wolf Lodge, so bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack.
All my kids learned to swim when they were little. It was super important to me that they be confident and safe in the water. There was only one problem with that: taking them to swim lessons. The pools were freezing. There were always cranky adults doing laps right there. And it was definitely not, for any of us, what you would call fun.
Amy, heard. But now there's Goldfish Swim School. Goldfish takes a really thoughtful approach to swim lessons, combining research-based teaching with a warm, kid-friendly environment that actually helps kids thrive in the water.
Every detail at Goldfish is thoughtfully designed to create a golden experience, from shiver-free, warm indoor pools to comfy waiting areas for parents to professionally trained lifeguards on deck.
Goldfish uses an approach called the science of swim play, which combines guided play with proven teaching techniques to help kids learn to swim, build water safety skills, and gain confidence, all at their own pace. Lessons are designed to meet kids exactly where they're at.
If you've been thinking about swim lessons or just wondering where to start, this is a great opportunity. Right now, Goldfish Swim School is offering a waived membership plus your child's first lesson free at participating locations.
Just visit goldfishswimschool.com/free to find a location near you and enroll using promo code FREE.
That's goldfishswimschool.com/free, promo code FREE.
And now, things kids are afraid of.
From the What Fresh Hell podcast.
Monsters.
Cheese with holes in it.
That one science teacher with a loud voice.
Killer whales.
Killer bees.
Pretty much any animal with the word killer as the start of its name.
Moles.
Tsunamis, even though they've never been near the ocean.
Shirts with long sleeves.
The ice cream man, but somehow also missing the ice cream man.
Bad dreams.
The vacuum.
Buttons.
Vegetables.
Mannequins.
The bird on the cereal box.
Also the dark.
Sharks in swimming pools.
Snakes in toilets.
Escalators.
Skunks.
Eeyore.
Public restrooms.
Mascots.
Robbers of any kind.
And sandwiches.
This has been Things the Kids Are Afraid of.
From the What Fresh Hell podcast. Well, so the roller coaster thing is another. So you're modeling experiencing fear with your child in the moment by being terrified and screaming, right? But then afterwards, processing it, talking about it. Boy, I sure was scared, and then laughing about it and coming back down with her is still modeling. It's still useful.
For sure. And we were recently in the car. The light turned green. I went to make a left turn and someone ran the light coming the straight way and like honked at us, and I swerved. I mean, he really almost hit us and was going pretty fast. And my teenager got scared, and as teenagers sometimes do, got kind of, you should have been more careful. You know, like they react to being scared by getting angry. And then for the rest of the night, we just kept talking. But it was a very close call in a car. And I think that, wow, that was scary is such a good phrase. It's just keeping coming back to like, you're upset because you were scared. I was scared. We were all scared. That could have been bad. Something bad could have happened. And I think it's important not to be afraid of bad things happening too, because I think the idea of like, oh, it was nothing. He wasn't that close to us. It wasn't bad. Like it was almost really bad. And you know, what could have happened? Well, you could have been killed. Like you could have been badly hurt. And I think that I find that I have to take an extra minute and lean back into, yes, this is very scary, because I have a little bit of a tendency to be like, no, it was nothing. He wasn't that close to us. Like that, I think, strangely enough, keeping fear away from our kids, it makes them more anxious. And that's something that I've had to really reckon with. Like, oh, the more you try to not expose them to scary things, and I will say, we as a family had something extremely, extremely scary happen when my kids were very, very young. And it was the kind of thing that was very inexplainable, just an incredible, scary tragedy that took the lives of young people and was terrible. It was absolutely awful. And when those things happen, there's no way around them except for through. And so I think that you got to take the close calls in the car to start practicing it, because I have seen that. And listen, we live in a world where scary and terrible things happen. Like you cannot avoid scary things. So you have to be part of the solution in prepping your kids for scary things, because the scary thing might be people in our family are getting divorced, or we're suddenly having to move because of one of our parents' jobs, or it might be somebody's parent in the school died unexpectedly, or someone in the school died unexpectedly. Like bad, scary things are going to happen, and not telling your kids about them, I understand it so much, but I think it's the wrong choice.
There's this book called Burnout by Amelia Nagoski, and it's about unlocking the stress cycle. And it's not about kids and fears. It's about being burnt out as an adult. But she talks about you need to complete the stress response, and that animals do this and humans don't. So the example she gives is like two ducks are in a pond and they're fighting, they're squabbling, right? Or maybe like an alligator almost gets one of them and they swim away. And then you see the duck do something, which is like they rise up out of the water and they like shake their wings really fast. They literally shake off the stress of what just happened. Or sometimes you'll see a deer do that. If they almost get caught by something, they'll stop and they'll shake, and then they'll continue on. And she says that's animals shaking off the adrenaline and completing the stress response. And that humans, we think our job is to like, back to normal, nothing to see here, and we don't complete the stress response. So your child wants to say like, they almost hit us. That could have been really bad. That's them like, shaking their feathers and like, I still need to get rid of some of this. And when we walk down on it too quickly, I think you're right. Then you're not completing the stress response. You need to let them complete it and talk about it and reassure them that, yeah, that was scary, but now you're okay.
It's super interesting when kids, and we had counselors that came and talked to us at the school when all of this happened. But one of the things that they talked about, and it did happen and it was extremely startling, is like kids would play the scenario of what happened. And it's not funny what happened. It's like they're like, let me give you an example of the Twin Towers, right? 9/11. After that, kids might play like, you be the building and I'm going to be an airplane and I'm going to crash into you. Kids have a need to process and reenact things that happened in a way that we can find like, well, that's not a game. Like, that's not appropriate. But that in fact, playing death and playing shooting games and playing like I'm stabbing you, that is kids processing fear. And I think that it brings out a very innate response in us to shut it down. You know, if you have somebody in your family who dies, like you might find your kids playing like, you be the dead body and I'm going to like sprinkle water on you, or something that they might have seen at a funeral. And you're like, that's very disrespectful to Aunt Joan or whatever. But like they are processing through play. And I think that it's kind of like the way that we've gotten detached. I was talking about a kid who's taken up fishing, and I'm not a fan of fishing. And my niece was saying, well, but it's good for them to be like close to a food source and understanding how it works. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to think about that. You know, like I don't actually, but it's funny how like having moved off of farms, and that's how kids used to like understand death and sex education. Like you just saw animals and you killed animals and you ate them. That I think that the farther we get away from like scary things, the harder they become for us to process.
Can we talk about sort of hypothetical scary things? Because I think you're exactly right, that we have to let kids process it in their way, in their childlike way. Play is how they process. So if the thing that they're afraid of is more imaginary, that's a little bit easier to get our hands around, right? When they're afraid of the witch in the closet, the monster under the bed, that kind of thing. I think it's okay to meet magical thinking with magical thinking in that case. My daughter...
Yes. You talk about this, the monster spray.
The monster spray, or my daughter was very afraid of Edward Scissorhands because somebody showed her Edward Scissorhands when she was really too young to see it. Not that it's scary. It's not a horror movie. Edward Scissorhands is not a bad guy, but she was too young to see a PG-13 movie, and it made a terrible impression on her that Edward Scissorhands was going to get her. And I started with like, he's nice, he's not scary. We live in an apartment building and Edward Scissorhands doesn't fly. You know, I was trying to come at it with logic.
It's just Johnny Depp. No, didn't work.
It's actually Johnny Depp and makeup, right? I showed her the makeup. I mean, everything. Nothing. I feel the fear. You telling me it's not scary isn't working. Drawing a guardian angel for the month of February, and then drawing a new guardian angel for the month of March that we hung over her bed that was going to like watch her while she slept. That took care of it in like 2 days. We didn't even have to do, you know, the next guardian angel. I'm like, we're going to have a new guardian angel every month and you're going to draw it and I'm going to help you. And what color dress should she have? The end. It just was, just meet the magical thinking with magical thinking. This angel will protect you from Edward Scissorhands. It took care of it.
Amy, it's our friend locus of control.
Mm-hmm.
We're scared of things we can't control. This is why I have OCD. And I'm like, if I touch this banister 3 times and then kick the wall with my foot, nothing bad will happen in the world. And I'm still engaging in that magical thinking. And my therapist tells me it is morally neutral. So there.
Okay, that's good. If it's like Disney characters or Santa Claus, experts say don't force interaction.
They should wait on a Santa line sometime.
Right.
It's happening, people.
It's forcing interaction. Yeah, I don't really understand that. I mean, I guess I do. There's plenty of pictures of me at Disney World.
Screaming.
Standing next to Goofy with a crying child. I'm like, why was that so important to me to be next? Like, I'm here. We pay for this vacation. We're going to get our picture with
Goofy, no matter how much it traumatizes you. Yeah.
Right. Reconsider that. Or maybe let the other people go first. Let them see them from afar. I mean, the people who work at Disney are amazing at calibrating, right? I get served so many incredible Disney characters interacting with guests and service dogs and all kinds of people. Like they know how to calibrate, how to pitch what they're doing to what the person needs from them. So more gradual. Fear of dogs is a good one. That's like fear of roller coasters. I guess you don't have to go on roller coasters if you don't want to. Fear of dogs, you probably do need to be able to walk down the street without being equally terrified of every dog you see when some weigh 10 pounds and wag their tails and some are. I got bitten by a dog when I was little, and so I grew up pretty afraid of dogs and didn't really know. I didn't teach my kids because I didn't know how to tell when a dog is friendly or not. like all dogs were just sort of suspect. I couldn't tell. And now I have a dog. You know, it's very easy for me to tell this dog's friendly, that dog's not, right? This dog's into it, this dog isn't. I know how to work with the dog. But
I will say you have a dog named Marshmallow who is like a 6-pound fluff ball. Like you don't have a Doberman Pinscher, Amy.
Right. And there are kids, and more than one child who has been terrified of dogs has used Marshmallow as like their onboarding to dogs.
Yeah. So it's like, that's right. You can take it slow. Don't go straight to the Doberman. Start with Marshmallow.
Yeah.
I will say one other thing. I do think that there are times when exposure, like there was this whole craze with Momo, and Momo was this terrifying looking chicken woman puppet. It was terrifying. And the idea was it was going to pop out while you were watching other things. It was going to jump scare you, as my kids say. And at some point I was like, I think you're just so scared of seeing it that we should just pull it up and look at it. It worked, like I was like, sometimes it is good to like just look at the thing you think you're so afraid of and think about it. And I do think in general, fear of like bugs, natural disasters. Okay, let's look at pictures of bugs. Let's think about how we protect ourselves from scary things. Let's think about what we would do in a disaster. Let's think about, it's mostly about what control would we have over this situation. There are things where you don't have a lot of control over a situation, and you can say like the things we don't have any control over are very scary and they always will be. But like lots of things we do have control over, like bugs, dogs, Momo. We can confront some of these fears.
If you have a kid who has really intense fears of, say, speaking in class, like something that they can't just avoid, right? Like dogs, or speaking to grown-ups who aren't their parents, you can get professional help from that. And cognitive behavioral therapy is just a very professionally directed version of this, where you do like a little bit at a time. I found a story of a girl who wouldn't speak in class, and in just a few sessions with a cognitive behavioral therapist, she would get homework. Like, your homework for this week is to make eye contact with 2 strangers and come back and tell me about it. Like, okay, now you're going to walk into the ice cream store and you're going to order the ice cream, and your mom will be there, but you're going to do the ordering, and you can build up. So that professional help is, available if you need it, if this is something that's just too charged for you to do yourself with your kid.
Yo, I'm doing cognitive behavioral therapy myself, and I'm liking it. I got some anxiety issues, and it's good. It's a lot of thinking through things. It's like the wolf at the door is so scary, and then sometimes you open the door and it's like, oh, the wolf is just Marshmallow. Like sometimes you got to look at it and work, confront your fears, I guess.
And kids confronting their fears, it's part of their maturation process. So we can be with them along the way, and just our presence might be enough.
I co-sign that idea. Amy, we have solved it.
Forever and always. Your kids will never be afraid of anything ever again.
All set. Thank us later. Friends, we have an irrational fear that you will forget to get tickets to our tour this fall. Amy and I are going on tour. We are going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Boston, Washington, D.C., and New York City. And we want you to come out and see us. Please go to our website, whatfreshhellpodcast.com, and look for a link to tickets, or go to bit.ly/whatfreshhelltour. That's it, Amy. I got it.
bit.ly/whatfreshhelltour for dates and tickets and all the details you need. We'll see you on the road.
Can't wait. And with that, we will talk to you next time. Thanks for listening.
So long.